When you feel lost, remember this about Allah. What if I told you that the moments when you feel the most lost, the most broken, the most uncertain about life, might actually be the moments when Allah is the closest to you? What if I told you that the darkness you feel right now might be the very thing leading you to the light you've been searching for all along? My dear brothers and sisters, life has a way of shaking us. There are times when everything seems heavy, when the future feels blurry, the past feels painful, and the present feels like you're just surviving, not living. You wake up with questions in your heart, carrying worries no one else can see, and sometimes you even wonder if Allah hears you anymore. You scroll through your phone, watch the world moving ahead, and silently whisper to yourself, where do I even belong? But here's the truth. Feeling lost is not the end. It is often the beginning. It is the moment when Allah invites you back to Him, when He strips away the distractions so you can finally hear His call. Feeling lost doesn't mean you are far from Allah. Sometimes it means He loves you enough to bring you back closer than ever before. Because you see, this life was never meant to be perfect. Allah never promised a road without tests. He never promised that you would always know every answer, that your heart would always be free of pain, or that you would never cry at night. No, what He promised was far greater. Call upon me, I will respond. He promised that when the entire world turns its back on you, He will still be there. He promised that when you feel empty inside, He can fill that emptiness with peace. And sometimes the way Allah brings you back to Him is by allowing you to feel lost. Because if you are always comfortable, always confident, always in control, you might never look up to the sky and whisper, Ya Allah, guide me. He lets the storm rage so that your heart learns where true safety lies. He allows the ground to shake so that you realize He is the only one who never leaves. And when you start to understand this, you stop seeing your pain as a punishment. You start seeing it as a mercy. Because maybe, just maybe, it was that moment of confusion, that tear that fell in the middle of the night, that made you fall into sujood and finally speak to Him with a heart that was real, raw, and sincere. Sometimes being lost is the first step toward being found. There is something so comforting yet so overwhelming when you pause and realize that the Lord of the worlds, the one who created the heavens without pillars, who commands the stars to rise and the oceans to stay within their bounds, the one who knows every grain of sand in every desert and every drop of rain before it falls, this same Allah knows you. He knows the storm inside your chest, the questions that keep you awake at night, the sins that haunt you, the regrets that weigh you down, the dreams you've stopped talking about because they hurt too much to mention. He knows when you pretend to be okay in front of everyone but cry silently when you're alone. He knows the day you felt so numb that even praying felt heavy, the moment you stared at the ceiling wondering if life would ever feel right again. And here's the beauty. Allah doesn't just know where you are physically. He knows where you are emotionally, spiritually, mentally. He knows exactly which thought broke your heart last night, which memory made you cry today, and which fear keeps from sleeping tomorrow. Subhanallah, you might feel like you've drifted so far away from guidance, like you've taken too many wrong turns. But the reality is this: you can never be so far that Allah cannot bring you back. You can never be so lost that His mercy cannot find you. Because the one who created you wrote every step of your journey before you even took your first breath. Every detour, every heartbreak, every disappointment. None of it surprises Him. None of it is outside His plan. He sees the whole picture while you only see the puzzle pieces scattered on the floor. And sometimes, when we feel lost, we think it's the end. But with Allah, feeling lost is often the beginning. It's His way of calling you back, of gently turning your heart toward Him when nothing else worked. Maybe He took away the people you relied on so you could finally rely on Him. Maybe He closed doors you thought were good for you because He knew they would have destroyed you. Maybe He made you feel the emptiness of this world so you would finally search for the one who can fill that emptiness with light. Allah knows the way back for every single lost soul. No matter how far they've wandered, He guided a man who killed 99 people toward repentance. He guided a magician in the court of Pharaoh to become a believer. He guided people who worshipped idols to fall in love with his oneness. What makes you think he can't guide you back from where you are now? Sometimes he allows you to get lost so you can learn the taste of guidance. Because when you finally find him after being lost, you love him with a sincerity you never knew before. And when Allah brings you back, he doesn't just return you to where you were. He often raises you to levels you never dreamed of reaching. So if you feel lost today, don't panic. Don't give up on yourself. Don't let Shaitan convince you that you're too far gone. Just whisper from wherever you are, Ya Allah, guide me back to you. And trust me, the one who hears the footsteps of an ant on a black stone in the darkest night will hear you too. He has never lost track of you, not for a second, and he never will. Sometimes we feel like no one in the entire world truly understands us. We smile in front of people pretending everything is fine, but deep down, our hearts carry storms no one else can see. Maybe you've been through days when words fail you, when even explaining what you feel seems impossible, when your own thoughts scare you because they are too heavy, too complicated, too painful to share. And yet here is Allah telling you in the Quran that He is closer to you than your own jugular vein, closer than the very lifeline carrying blood to your body, closer than the heartbeat keeping you alive. Subhanallah, just pause and let that sink in. It means before a tear rolls down your cheek, He already knows why it fell. Before a thought crosses your mind, He already knows the depth of it. Before a word escapes your lips, He already knows the emotion behind it. People might misunderstand you. They might misjudge you. They might assume things about your life because of what they see on the outside. But the Allah sees what no one else can. The quiet battles inside you, the secret hopes you've buried, the fears you never admit, the du'as you whisper when everyone else is asleep. And here's the most beautiful part. Allah doesn't just know, He cares. He listens. He understands you even when you can't find the words to explain yourself. Sometimes you go into sujood and you just cry without saying anything. And maybe you feel like you didn't make a proper dua because you didn't say a single word, but Allah knew everything your heart was trying to say. He is closer to you than your own heartbeat. So close that He hears the prayers you make silently in the car, on your way to work, when no one else is there. He hears the du'as you make while staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. because sleep just won't come. He hears the Ya Allah, help me that you whisper when you're too tired to even get up and pray. And sometimes when life gets overwhelming, Shaitan tries to convince you that Allah is far away because of your sins, your mistakes, your shortcomings. But the truth is, even if the whole world turns away from you, even if you mess up 1,000 times, Allah never moves away. He is as close as ever, waiting for you to turn back, to talk to Him, to cry to Him, to call upon Him. And you know what's even more beautiful? You don't have to be perfect to call upon Him. You don't have to have the most eloquent words or the cleanest past. All you need is a heart that says, Ya Allah, I need you. That's it. He is closer than your own heartbeat. And sometimes all it takes is one sincere moment, one broken Ya Allah to change your entire life. So never believe for a second that you're alone. The one who created your heart is closer to it than you will ever understand. And He hears you even when the world doesn't. Have you ever thought about how strange pain is? How it comes into our lives uninvited, shaking the ground beneath our feet, changing everything we thought was certain, making us feel like the world is spinning too fast, while we stand there motionless, unable to breathe properly. Maybe it came as heartbreak, when someone you loved left without warning or betrayed your trust, and you felt like a part of you shattered forever. Maybe it came as loss, when death stole someone you thought you could never live without, and you stared at the empty chair, the silent phone, the quiet house, wondering how life could just go on as if nothing happened. Maybe it came as failure, when you tried so hard, prayed so much, worked with everything you had, but things still fell apart in your hands. Or maybe it came as loneliness when you scrolled through your phone, saw everyone else laughing, achieving, living, while you sat in silence, wondering why your life felt stuck. Whatever form it came in, I want you to understand something today. Your pain, as unbearable as it feels, might be the very thing Allah uses to change your life forever. Because here's the reality: people rarely change when life is easy. When everything is comfortable, when the path is smooth, when the heart feels no weight, we start to forget. We forget Allah, we forget our own weakness, we forget that we are travelers in this world, not permanent residents. It's in comfort that the heart grows distracted, attached to this dunya, addicted to its illusions. But when pain comes, it shakes everything. It breaks the walls of pride we built around ourselves. It makes us question the purpose of life, the point of our existence, the reality of our priorities. And sometimes that's exactly what we need, a storm to break us, so we can finally fall into sujood with a sincerity we never knew before. Because when life knocks you down to your knees, that's the perfect position to start praying. Subhanallah, think about it. So many people found Allah in the middle of their pain. So many people started praying, started crying, started seeking His forgiveness, not when life was easy, but when life felt unbearable. Maybe that's you right now. Maybe this pain you carry isn't here to destroy you, but to bring you back to the one who created you. Maybe it's Allah's way of cleansing your heart from attachments that were never good for you. Maybe He's breaking your heart so He can rebuild it with His love. Sometimes He takes everything away so that when He gives you Himself, you finally realize He was all you needed all along. And my brothers and sisters, look at the people of the past. Pain was always the beginning of something beautiful. Prophet Yunus was swallowed by the whale alone in the depths of darkness when he cried out, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz salimin. There is no God but you. Glory be to you. I was among the wrongdoers. That moment of despair became the moment of his salvation. Prophet Musa fled Egypt, leaving behind everything he knew, walking through the desert with nothing but fear in his heart, until Allah guided him to safety, to prophecy, to greatness. Maryam felt so much pain during childbirth that she cried out, wishing for death. Yet moments later, she was holding one of the greatest miracles in her arms, Prophet Isa. Even our beloved Prophet Muhammad himself faced years of loss and grief, losing his parents, his wife Khadija, his uncle Abu Talib, being rejected by his own people, chased out of Taif, called names, mocked, hurt. And yet those moments of pain shaped the man who would change the world forever. Do you see the pattern? Pain was never the end. It was always the turning point. It was always the bridge that led to something greater. And maybe that's what your pain is doing for you. Maybe it's Allah's way of telling you, I want better for you than what you're holding on to. Because let's be honest, if life was always comfortable, we would never let go of the things that harm us. We would never stop chasing the people who drain us, the dreams that destroy us, the habits that poison our hearts. Comfort makes us blind to danger. Pain wakes us up. It forces us to let go of what we were clinging to so tightly, so our hands can finally be empty enough to receive what Allah has written for us. Think about it. How many times did you cry over something you thought you couldn't live without, only to realize later that losing it was the best thing that ever happened to you? How many times did you beg Allah for something, convinced it was good for you, only to realize years later that not getting it saved you from heartbreak you couldn't see coming? That's the wisdom of Allah. He sees the whole picture. You only see a single page. You only see a single page. And here's something else. Sometimes the pain doesn't just change your life, it changes you. It softens you. It makes you humble. It teaches you empathy. When you've been broken, you stop judging people so harshly because you know what it feels like to fall apart. When you've cried alone, you become the person who notices the silent pain in others. When you've lost, you become grateful for what you still have. Allah uses pain to purify the heart from arrogance, from selfishness, from heedlessness. He uses it to make you someone who not only believes in Him but knows Him. His mercy, His power, His wisdom, His closeness. But here's the key, my brothers and sisters. Pain only becomes a turning point if you let it. Some people go through hardship and only become bitter, angry, hopeless. Others go through the same hardship and come out softer, wiser, closer to Allah than ever before. The difference is not in the pain itself. The difference is in the response. If you see your pain as random, as meaningless, as punishment, you'll drown in it. But if you see it as Allah calling you back, as Allah protecting you, as Allah teaching you, then even as you cry, there's hope in your tears. There's light in your darkness. There's faith growing in your heart. And wallahi, one day you will look back at this moment of pain and thank Allah for it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you'll see how it changed you, how it redirected your life, how it led you to things you never imagined. You'll realize that if it weren't for the heartbreak, you would never have fallen into sujood with a heart so desperate, so sincere. If it weren't for the loss, you would never have tasted the sweetness of relying only on Allah. If it weren't for the failure, you would never have discovered a better path, a better version of yourself, a better relationship with your Creator. Sometimes Allah writes pain into your story not to destroy you, but to remove what was destroying you. So if you're in pain right now, don't run from it. Don't numb it with distractions. Don't bury it under fake smiles. Don't let shaitan convince you that it means Allah has abandoned you. No, this pain might be the moment your soul wakes up. It might be the reason you start praying again, the reason you open the Quran after months of dust gathering on it, the reason you cry in dua at night when no one else sees you. This pain might be the reason you finally let go of the sins that were killing your heart. It might be the moment you realize that nothing in this world is Allah for. And my dear brothers and sisters, remember this. Every tear you shed for the sake of Allah, every sleepless night you spend calling on Him, every heartbeat of pain that turns you back to Him will not go to waste. Allah promises in the Quran, indeed, with hardship comes ease. Not after hardship, with it. That means even in this moment, even as you hurt, there are seeds of ease being planted. You can't see them yet, but they're there. And when the time is right, they will bloom into something so beautiful that you'll look back at your pain and realize it was the soil that grew your future. So let this pain be your turning point. Let it be the reason you walk back to Allah, the reason you rebuild your faith, the reason you purify your heart. Because when Allah takes something away, He doesn't leave you empty-handed. He replaces it with something better. Maybe in this life, maybe in the next, maybe both. But better is always coming for the one who turns back to Him. There are moments in life when words simply fail you. Times when your chest feels heavy, your eyes sting from holding back tears, and your heart carries weight you can't even describe. You want to pray, to pour everything out to Allah. But when you try, the words stick in your throat. Maybe all you can manage is a whisper of Ya Allah. Or maybe not even that, just a tear falling quietly onto the prayer mat. And in those moments, a small part of you wonders if silence counts. If Allah hears what the tongue cannot speak, if He understands what the heart can't put into words, the truth is He does. He always does. Because dua isn't about how beautifully you phrase it. It isn't about how long you can make it or how eloquent you can sound. Dua is about turning your heart back to Him, even if it's trembling, even if it's broken, even if it has no words left. Sometimes the loudest prayers are made in silence. The sigh when you stare at the ceiling after another sleepless night. A thought in your head when you're too exhausted to speak. Ayson, the single tear that escapes while you sit alone in your room. All of it reaches Him. Allah doesn't need you to explain what's happening inside you. He already knows. Before a thought forms in your mind, He knows it. Before a feeling touches your heart, He knows it. Before a tear falls from your eye, He knows why it fell. There is no confusion with Him, no misunderstanding, no need for perfect sentences. Even when your prayers feel messy, incomplete or silent, He hears them as clearly as the cries of the prophets before you. Think of Hajar running between Safa and Marwa, desperate for water for her baby. There was no long dua recorded, no elaborate words, just a mother's heart breaking as she searched for relief. And Allah responded by making water gush from beneath the feet of her son, water that flows until today. Think of Maryam, exhausted and alone under the palm tree, crying out during the pain of childbirth. She didn't speak much, too tired, too overwhelmed, yet Allah sent fresh dates and a stream of water to comfort her. Think of Yunus in the belly of the whale, trapped in layers of darkness, ocean above him, night sky above that, hopelessness pressing in from every side. He didn't deliver a speech. He simply said, "There is no God but you. Glory be to you. I was among the wrongdoers." And that simple, broken plea was enough to split the depths of the ocean and reach the one above the heavens. That's the beauty of dua. Allah doesn't respond because of how well you speak. He responds because of how deeply you call on Him. Even silence, when it comes from the heart, is heard. And here's what many people forget. Just because you don't see an answer right away doesn't mean your dua was ignored. Allah is never careless with your prayers. Sometimes He gives you what you asked for immediately. Sometimes He delays because the timing isn't right. Sometimes He withholds because what you want isn't as good as what He has planned. And sometimes He replaces what you asked for with something so much better that years later, you look back and thank Him for not giving you what you thought you needed. Waiting can feel unbearable, especially when the pain is heavy. But even the waiting is filled with mercy. Because every time you raise your hands, every time you call on Him, whether loudly or in silence, you are rewarded. Even before the answer comes, the act of turning to Him is recorded, cherished, loved. And one day when the story unfolds, you will see that every unanswered prayer was answered in ways you didn't expect. Every delayed response carried wisdom you couldn't see at the time. Every no was actually a yes to something better. So if right now all you can manage is a quiet moment with no words at all, don't think your silence goes unnoticed. The one who hears the footsteps of an ant on a black stone in the darkest night surely hears the cries you hide from the world. He knows the things you can't explain to anyone else. He knows the weight you carry when no one is around. And He promises to respond. Not always in the way you expect, not always in the timing you want, but always in the way that is best for you. One day, when you see the full picture, you will understand. You will look back at the prayers you thought were ignored and realize they were being answered in ways you couldn't imagine. You will see how the delays, the detours, the heartbreaks, the waiting, all of it was part of a bigger plan written by the one who loves you more than you can comprehend. And on that day, you will thank Him not just for what He gave, but for what He held back, for what He delayed, for what He replaced with something far better than what you asked for. So keep praying, even if it's silent. Keep crying to Him, even if the words don't come out right. Keep turning to Him, even if all you have is a whisper of Ya Allah, because not a single call you make is ever wasted. Not a single tear is ignored. Not a single moment of reaching out to Him passes without being heard. The doors of dua are always open, even in silence, especially in silence. There's a misconception that creeps into the mind when life feels heavy, when the heart feels empty, when the soul feels like it's walking through fog. The idea that feeling lost automatically means you failed spiritually, that you're far from Allah, that your faith must be weak, because a believer, you think, should always feel strong, certain, and unshaken. But that's not the truth. Faith was never about walking through life without storms. Faith was never about being so strong that pain bounces off you untouched. Faith is about holding on, even when everything in you wants to let go. It's about walking through those storms while whispering, even trembling, I still believe. Feeling lost doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Even the prophets, the most beloved to Allah, felt moments of fear, grief, confusion, and longing. When Prophet Yunus sat in the belly of the whale surrounded by darkness, he felt trapped and desperate. When Prophet Yaqub cried until he lost his eyesight after losing his son Yusuf, that wasn't weakness. It was the depth of a father's love intertwined with his faith in Allah's plan. When Prophet Musa fled Egypt after accidentally taking a life, he was scared, uncertain, alone. Yet in all those moments, their faith didn't vanish. Their hearts still turned toward Allah, even when everything around them looked like chaos. You see, faith isn't proven when life is easy. It's revealed when life is heavy. Anyone can feel strong when everything is going right. But when you wake up with a heart so heavy it hurts to breathe, when your mind keeps circling questions with no answers, when your life feels like a puzzle with missing pieces, yet you still lift your hands in prayer, even shakily, that is faith shining in its purest form. Not perfect, not loud, but real. The world often tells you that strength means never breaking, never feeling lost, never struggling. But with Allah, strength often looks different. Sometimes strength is the tear that falls in sujood when you feel like you can't take another step, but you still bow anyway. Sometimes strength is saying Alhamdulillah through gritted teeth when nothing makes sense. Sometimes strength is surviving another day with your iman intact, even when your heart feels like it's been through a war. And here's the beauty: Allah never condemns you for feeling lost. He doesn't reject you because your heart is tired. He doesn't abandon you because your faith feels small. In fact, He calls to you more tenderly in those moments. The Quran is filled with verses of comfort for the weary, the broken, the confused. Do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Why, verily, with hardship comes ease. A call upon me, I will respond to you. These are not commands to the perfect believer. These are invitations to the struggling soul. The one who prays through tears, the one who whispers instead of shouts, the one who keeps showing up even when they feel like they're barely holding on. Sometimes feeling lost is part of the journey. It's what pulls you back to Him. If life was always smooth, if your heart never ached, if you never felt empty, would you really search for Him the way you do when you're broken? Would you cry to Him in the depths of the night? Would you feel that desperation that turns ordinary prayers into raw, heartfelt conversations with the one who knows you better than you know yourself? Sometimes Allah allows you to feel lost so that you finally realize you were never meant to navigate life alone. So that you see that strength was never about carrying the weight by yourself. It was about handing it over to Him. Look at the people around you. Some of the strongest believers you'll ever meet are not the ones with perfect, unshaken lives. They're the ones with scars. The ones who have cried in secret, questioned in silence, wrestled with their own hearts. But they kept returning to Allah no matter how messy it got. Their faith wasn't spotless. It was fought for. And maybe that's the point. Maybe faith isn't about feeling certain every second of the day. Maybe it's about clinging to Allah through the uncertainty, trusting Him when the map of your life makes no sense, walking by faith when you can't see the road ahead. When you feel lost, your mind will try to convince you that you're far from Allah, that He's angry with you, that you're failing at being a believer. But feelings are not facts. Your heart can feel heavy, your mind can feel confused, and you can still be deeply loved by Allah. The Prophet once told us that Allah is with the brokenhearted, the crushed, the ones carrying burdens too heavy to name. Imagine that for a moment. The King of the universe drawing near to the ones the world overlooks, the ones who feel like they're drowning silently. That nearness alone is proof that feeling lost doesn't disqualify you from His mercy. If anything, it draws it closer. And here's what's amazing. Some of the greatest spiritual awakenings begin with someone feeling lost. People who found their way to Allah in the most powerful ways often started from rock bottom, from emptiness, from confusion. Because when you hit the point where the world no longer satisfies you, where people's words no longer heal you, where nothing makes sense, that's when you finally look up. That's when you realize the only one who can carry you is the one who created you. And that realization changes everything. So don't mistake your confusion for distance from Allah. Don't let the whispers convince you that you're failing because you don't feel strong right now. Faith is not a straight line. Some days you'll feel close to Allah. Some days you'll feel like you're stumbling in the dark. Both are part of the journey. Both can bring you closer to Him if you let them. The only real failure is giving up completely, walking away, closing the door on Him. As long as you keep turning back, even with trembling hands, even with a tired heart, you haven't failed. You're still in the story He's writing for you. And one day you'll see why it had to be this way. You'll see how the moments you hated, the nights you cried, the seasons you felt lost, they were all shaping you, softening you, pulling you back to the one who never left. You'll look back and realize you weren't abandoned. You were being guided all along, even when it didn't feel like it. So when the heaviness comes, when the confusion settles in, when you feel lost and wonder what's wrong with you, remember this: faith isn't about never feeling lost. It's about never giving up, even when you do. It's about carrying your confusion to Allah instead of running from Him. It's about trusting that even in the dark, He sees you, He hears you. He hears you, He loves you, and He's leading you somewhere better than you can imagine. One of the greatest traps in life is comparison. You look at the people around you, friends, classmates, strangers on social media, and it seems like everyone else is moving faster, climbing higher, reaching milestones you haven't even touched yet. Someone your age already memorized Quran. Someone younger than you got married and has a family. Someone with fewer struggles built a successful business or earned a degree you're still chasing. And quietly inside you begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why am I not where they are? Why does my life look so different? But here's what you forget. You were never meant to have their journey. You were never meant to carry their timeline, their tests, or their path. Allah didn't make one single mold and force every life to fit into it. He crafted each story with precision, with wisdom, with a uniqueness that no one else can replicate. Your life, with all its delays, its twists, its detours, its struggles, it's not a mistake. It's not second best. It's not falling behind. It's yours. Written by the one who knows the secrets of your heart, the dreams you've buried, the fears you never speak out loud. Think about it. When Allah created you, He didn't just throw your life together randomly. He wrote your story with a beginning, middle, and end that is unlike anyone else's in history. Every moment, the joy, the heartbreak, the waiting, the prayers, the mistakes, the victories, all of it was woven into a timeline that leads you to exactly where you're meant to be. And yet, so often, we ruin our peace by comparing our chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. We look at someone celebrating a blessing today and forget we don't know what they cried over yesterday. We see someone achieving something we want and forget that their tests might be in places we can't see. When you compare your life to someone else's, you're comparing what you know about yourself. Every fear, every failure, to what you don't know, to what you don't know. You're looking at their highlight reel and measuring it against your behind the scenes. And that will always make you feel like you're losing a race you were never even supposed to run. The Quran reminds us again and again that life is a test. But here's the part we forget. The tests are not the same for everyone. One person's test is wealth. Another person's test is poverty. One person's test is health. Another's is sickness. Some are tested with children, others with childlessness, some with marriage, others with loneliness, some with success, others with failure. And none of it means Allah loves one more than the other. The Prophet told us that when Allah loves a servant, He tests them. Not to break them, not to humiliate them, but to purify them, raise them, draw them closer. So if your journey looks different, if your timeline feels slower, if your path has more twists and turns, it doesn't mean you're forgotten. It doesn't mean you're behind. It doesn't mean you're less blessed or less loved. It simply means Allah is writing a story for you that isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. Look at the prophets themselves. Yusuf spent years in a well, then as a slave, then in prison, before rising to a position of power. Musa was raised in a palace, then fled into the desert for years before returning as a prophet. Muhammad didn't receive revelation until the age of 40, decades after living as a shepherd, a trader, a husband, a father. Each journey was different. Each timeline was unique. And yet every single one unfolded exactly as Allah intended. Not too early, not too late. We live in a world that worships speed, faster careers, faster marriages, faster achievements. Everything is a race. And if you're not ahead, you feel like you're losing. But Allah doesn't measure you by speed. He measures you by sincerity, by faith, by the way you turn to Him in every stage of your journey, whether it's moving fast, crawling slowly, or standing still, because you have no strength left. Sometimes the delay you hate is the very thing saving you. The marriage you think is late might be protecting you from heartbreak you can't see yet. The job you didn't get might be steering you towards something better you didn't even know you wanted. The dream that hasn't happened yet might be holding back a test you're not ready for. You see the surface. Allah sees the whole picture, the past, the present, the future, all at once. And when He withholds, when He delays, when He says not yet, it's never because He wants to hurt you. It's because He loves you too much to give you something at the wrong time. Comparison blinds you to that wisdom. It makes you stare so hard at someone else's blessings that you miss the ones in your own life. It makes you believe Allah is generous to them and stingy with you, when in reality He is giving each heart exactly what it needs at exactly the right moment. The Prophet once told us to look at those below us in worldly matters, not those above. Why? Because comparison upward breeds envy, ingratitude, and despair. But comparison downward opens your eyes to blessings you didn't even notice. The health you have while someone else is in a hospital bed. The roof over your head while someone else sleeps in the cold. The faith in your heart while someone else feels empty inside. When you stop comparing timelines, you start seeing gifts. And here's something else. Some of the most beautiful lives bloom late. Some of the greatest transformations happen after seasons of feeling lost, behind, forgotten. Umar ibn al-Khattab once set out to kill the Prophet before Islam touched his heart. And later, he became one of its strongest defenders. Malcolm X lived a life far from faith before returning to Allah and leaving a legacy that still inspires millions. The timing of your awakening, your turning point, your breakthrough, it doesn't have to match anyone else's. So maybe right now, your life doesn't look like you imagined. Maybe people your age are getting married, having kids, building careers, finishing degrees, and you feel like you're stuck at the starting line. But what if your delay is actually a setup? What if Allah is protecting you from a marriage that would have broken you, preparing a career that needs a few more years before it's ready for you, shaping a version of you that can handle blessings you're not equipped for yet? What if your story just needs more time because what's coming is bigger than you can picture right now? One day, you'll see why it had to be this way. You'll see that the detours led to places better than the straight road you begged for. You'll see that the doors that stayed closed were guarding you from harm. You'll see that the waiting was building strength, patience, faith, qualities you couldn't have learned any other way. And when you finally arrive at the blessings written for you, you'll thank Allah for not giving them to you a second earlier. So stop staring at someone else's path. Stop thinking you're late. Life isn't a competition. It's a journey to Allah, and everyone's road winds differently. Some climb mountains, some walk through valleys, some crawl through deserts. But the destination is the same, meeting the one who wrote your story. And when you stand before Him, He won't ask why your life didn't look like someone else's. He'll ask what you did with the life He gave you. There comes a point in life where everything feels blurry. You wake up and the path ahead looks foggy, uncertain, maybe even frightening. You try to plan, to figure things out, to make sense of what's happening, but nothing seems clear anymore. The doors you thought would open stay shut. The people you relied on leave. The dreams you built in your head crumble faster than you can rebuild them. And you stand there in the middle of your own life, feeling like someone turned the lights off and left you searching in the dark. It's a terrifying feeling, not knowing what's next, not having control, not being able to see how the pieces will ever fit together. Human beings crave clarity. We like to know what's coming, to feel like we're steering the ship, to have plans and backup plans. But life has a way of reminding us that we're not really in control, that no matter how carefully we map things out, one phone call, one test, one unexpected moment can rewrite everything in an instant. And here's the truth most people don't like to face. Sometimes you won't see the way forward. You'll pray for answers and hear silence. You'll search for clarity and find more confusion. You'll beg for doors to open and watch them stay closed. And in those moments, your heart will be tempted to panic, to question, to wonder if Allah even hears you. But this is where faith either collapses or deepens, Because trusting Allah when the road is clear is easy. Trusting Him when you can't see anything at all, that's where real faith lives. Think about Prophet Musa standing at the edge of the Red Sea. Behind him, an army ready to kill. In front of him, endless water. From a human perspective, there was no way forward. Death on one side, drowning on the other. The people around him panicked, saying, "We're finished." But Musa didn't say that. He said with absolute certainty, "My Lord is with me, and He will guide me." He had no idea how. He couldn't see the sea splitting. He didn't know Allah would turn that ocean floor into dry land. All he knew was that when you can't see the way forward, you trust the one who can. And the sea opened. That's what faith looks like. Standing at the edge of the impossible and believing in the one who makes a way out of nothing. Maybe right now you feel like you're at your own Red Sea. The job fell through. The marriage ended. The health report wasn't what you prayed for. The plans you made for years dissolved overnight. And you look ahead and see nothing but waves ready to drown you. That's when Shaitan whispers, "You see, there's no way out. There's no point praying. You're finished." But those whispers are lies. Because the same Lord who split the sea for Musa, who protected Maryam in childbirth, who brought Yunus out of the belly of the whale, is the same Lord writing your story right now. Just because you can't see the path doesn't mean it isn't there. Just because you can't feel His plan doesn't mean He isn't working one out. Faith isn't about walking roads you can already see. It's about trusting the one who sees the whole map when you can't even see the next step. The Quran is full of moments where the believers couldn't see the way forward, and Allah came through in ways they never imagined. When the Prophet Muhammad left Makkah with his companion Abu Bakr, hiding in a cave while enemies hunted them down, Abu Bakr was afraid. The Prophet said, "Do not be sad. Allah is with us." He didn't say, "I can see exactly how this will work out." He just trusted the one who controls everything, even when it looked hopeless. And soon, the road to Medina opened. Islam grew stronger, and what felt like the end became a new beginning. Sometimes the confusion you feel is mercy in disguise. If you could see the whole plan, if you knew every detail of your life, you'd stop talking to Allah. You'd stop leaning on Him. You'd think you didn't need Him anymore. But uncertainty keeps you close. It makes you wake up in the night to pray because you have nowhere else to turn. It makes you whisper dua on your commute, before exams, after heartbreaks, in hospital rooms. It keeps you tethered to the only one who can truly help you. And here's what's even more beautiful. You don't have to feel brave to trust Allah. You can be terrified and still trust Him. You can cry while you trust Him. You can say, "I have no idea what to do," and still trust Him. Faith isn't about having zero fear. It's about handing your fear over to the one who controls everything. Maybe right now your life feels like a 1,000-piece puzzle scattered on the floor. You have no idea how it will come together. You can't even see the picture on the box. All you see are broken pieces. But Allah sees the final image. He knows how every piece fits, even the ones that look pointless, even the ones that seem to ruin the picture. And one day He will put it all together, and you'll realize every single piece had a purpose. The Prophet told us, whoever puts their trust in Allah, He will be enough for them. Not a might be. Not a sometimes. He will be enough. That means His plan will hold you when everything else falls apart. His wisdom will guide you when you have no answers. His mercy will carry you when you can't carry yourself. Sometimes He won't show you the whole road because you're only meant to take the next step. And sometimes He closes doors because what's behind them isn't good for you. Sometimes He delays because the timing isn't right yet. And sometimes He lets you sit in the unknown so that you finally learn what it means to rely on Him instead of your own understanding. One day you will look back at the things you begged for, the nights you cried through, the confusion that kept you awake, and you will see the plan that was unfolding all along. You will see how the wrong turns led you to the right places. You will see how the delays saved you from disasters. You will see how the things you thought were breaking you were actually building you. So if right now you can't see the way forward, don't panic. Don't believe the lie that you're abandoned. The author of your story never leaves a page blank. Just because you can't see what he's writing doesn't mean he's stopped writing. Trust him in the dark. Trust him when it's quiet. Trust him when the sea hasn't split yet. Because the one who guided every prophet through their storms, who turned graves into gardens and dead ends into miracles, will guide you too. One day, the fog will lift, the path will clear, the sea will split. And you will understand why you had to walk through the uncertainty first, because it taught you to trust the one who saw the way forward all along. Pain changes you. Whether you want it to or not, it shapes the way you see the world, the way you think, the way you carry yourself. There are moments in life that break something inside you so deeply. You wonder if you'll ever be the same again. A loss that feels like it ripped a piece of your heart out. A betrayal that leaves you questioning everything you believed about people. A failure so crushing it makes you doubt your own worth. A hardship so heavy it steals your sleep, your appetite, your joy. And in the middle of all that pain, you catch yourself asking, why? Why me? Why this? Why now? It's in those moments that life feels the most unfair, the most confusing. You look at people around you, laughing, living, moving forward. While you feel stuck in a pit you can't climb out of, you pray and pray, but nothing seems to change. You wonder if any of this has a point, if there's any wisdom at all behind what you're facing. Because from where you're standing, it just feels cruel. But here's the truth that only becomes clear with time. With Allah, nothing is wasted. Not a single tear, not a single sleepless night, not a single heartbreak, not a single setback. Every ounce of pain you carry is seen, is counted, is written with meaning even when you can't see it yet. The Quran tells us, perhaps you dislike something and it is good for you, and perhaps you love something and it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. But in the middle of the storm, it's hard to see any of that. All you feel is the weight. That's why Allah keeps reminding us, verily with hardship comes ease, not after hardship, with it. Meaning even inside the pain there is something being planted, a seed of wisdom, a lesson, a strength. The pain you thought would break you was actually the pain that rebuilt you. The silence you thought meant abandonment was actually Allah drawing you closer, pulling you towards something better, something higher, something eternal. So don't give up.